Kapupoitanga, everybody. Big SO for coming out this morning to stand in solidarity with Our Islands, Our Home and the Torres Strait 8. Um, my name is Wanaki Maluapi. I'm a Malukiwa woman from Boigo Island in Zenat Kes, and I'm also the digital storyteller and community organizer with Our Islands, Our Home. This morning, myself and Awadani are going to be kind of emceeing this morning, but I'll pass to him to introduce himself. So.
Kapo Pilot Mr. Monkamura. My name is Daniel Billy. I'm a Warbaralgal man from Marber Island, Kulkalgal Nation, Central Torres Strait. Acknowledgement for everyone this morning. Thanks for coming down and support and standing in solidarity with this action this morning. First ever led Torres Strait, Torres Strait led action. We're so blessed to be here. And biggest up for everyone for coming.
Sugar. I'd just like to start by acknowledging the land we're gathered upon today, the Ngunnawal and Ngambri people, and acknowledge that sovereignty has never been ceded and pay respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. Although country has changed, the importance never does. People are a long way from home, and so as visitors, it's really important to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land we're meeting on, and pay respect to acknowledge the country and respect that those that practice law here live here and continue caring for country. So, just like to give a bit of information about the Our Islands, Our Home campaign. It is a Torres Strait Islander-led campaign created to raise awareness and protect Zanatkas from the impacts of climate change. The campaign began in 2018 when 8 Torres Strait Islanders brought a human rights case against the Australian government for their inaction on climate change in our island homes. And they took that to the United Nations Human Rights Committee. On the 23rd of September 2022, the Torres Strait 8 made international legal history after the United Nations Human Rights Committee found that the Australian government is violating its human rights obligations to Torres Strait Islanders by failing to act on climate change on top. Just want to give my acknowledgements to the Torres Strait Island 8 claimants that are here with us this morning. We are so proud of you, Pla, and so proud to be here in solidarity to support you and all the families on the front lines of climate change. And not only is this so significant for our island homes in Zanatkas, it sets a precedent for First Nations, Indigenous people across the world. And we pass on our solidarity to those that are fighting to protect country worldwide. The claimants have 5 demands of the Australian government: fund adaptation programs that will allow Zanatkas communities to adapt to climate impacts, commit to going 100% renewables in Australia in the next 10 years, support Zanatkas communities to build community-owned renewable energy, transition away from fossil fuels as rapidly as possible through a just transition for workers, and push the world to increase global ambition and keep warming to less than 1.5 degrees.
Thank you, Wanaki. I will now pass it on to introduce Mr. Ned David, the chair of the Land and Sea Council of Zanatkas.
Devedi Mwabim, Kapubailud, Kapubatainga, Kapmiki Batainga. Ala kapasing po Mura Kuikumabaiga, Nanwal and Ngambri. Really good to be here on country for the Ngambri and Ngunnawal people. As the speakers before me, I just want to say thanks for everyone who rocked up today to stand with us in solidarity on this particular issue, which impacts First Nations people, not just here in Australia but across the globe. My congratulations, I think, to my boy Wan Kebe, our Ted, Bala Stanley, for being here today, the Torres Strait 8, for what they've done. done once again in a small group of people from a very small patch of the Australian continent called the Torres Strait. Took it, I think, to the highest, I guess, place of governance in the world, the UN, and got a decision, I think, which will benefit First Nations people across the globe. We know, this action here is going to help First Nations people globally. We know that the conversations from here on today is going to be of benefit to First Nations people everywhere. We're just proud that from our group of islands, we're able to do something that could be of benefit to a lot of other people, confronting this very issue. Once again, I want to thank everyone for rocking up here today and standing with us in support. Kei meso, awesro.
So then, I'd like to pass now to Lisa Viliamo.
Thank you. So I'm going to do a little creative activation. This poem was written by the Pacific Climate Warriors, and we wrote this for our ancestors, our grandmothers. In 2018, I headed up to Masik and I saw Yese, one of the Torres Strait 8, pick up his ancestors' bones like seashells. And that is something that no person should ever have to do. So I'll do this for you guys. We perform this in the Torres Strait too. Her hands, a shield, prayerful, protective, cocoa brown. I am the fruit of her labour. Within her palms I empower, her wisdom my nectar. Although the dogs crowd her skirts, Halu! There's work to be done. Alusalu le fale! She rises with the morning sun. She sees the tides have changed. Her hair, a long lineage, she combs through the waves. Like her grandmother and her grandmother, she wears her say. Tene aulale, red, pink, green, the coral has changed. Do you notice the change? I notice the change. The fishing patterns have changed. Empty oceans, empty nets, hear the cries of Tangalore. Once plentiful, our oceans nourished us. Her skin, a story marks her legs, a tattooed map back to her ancestors, a reminder, her pain becomes her power. Her bones, Mama, you were born by the ocean, buried by the sea. You have watched the tides change, and now they wash you away from me. As the sea levels rise, her bones become displaced, but your teachings remain with me always. I just want to take a moment for all of those ancestors that have been washed out, that we may remember them and honour them. And I want to thank the Torres Strait 8 for making history, not just for the Torres Strait, but for all Indigenous people, including Pacifica people. When I went to Warraba recently, Uncle Ted shared about how he actually had that experience of having to bring remains in from the coral reefs back up to inland because of rising sea levels. So I want to pass it to Uncle Ted, to share his story. And oh, sorry, he's right next to me. Here we are.
Thank you, Lisa. As you listen, my name is Ted. I actually come from the Torres Strait, on the central part of Torres Strait, Kulkalgal Nation. And it's a lovely island surrounded by the sea. And that's one of the things that we have, we experience on the island, especially an island that is flat. It's Coral Cay Island. I guess we would have been the first people, especially to experiencing, part of our lands are gone. And, because of the, environment, that where we are situated in Torres Strait. So, the people around the island, in Torres Strait, we live through the season that tells us everything, when to go fishing, what is the best time, all these things that we, it's around us that telling us everything that we need to know and what is the right time to going out. And especially living on a small island, like Lisa said, that we experience, experiencing, we lost a portion of land. Our land is changing direction because of the weathers that change, because what we are facing now, it's affecting the way we understand, like I said, how we do things, do planting and all this stuff. So, it came to a point, like Lisa said, that I was one of the lot that walking around the island, because of high tide, and especially when cyclone, happen, especially on, when the wind are changing, we be experiencing part of our cemeteries were gone, and we have to walk around the island on the reef, collecting bones of our fathers, forefathers, all our ancestors. I actually lost my my dad bone from the grave. So, it's very sad to, experiencing things like that, because, I mean, on our culture, we do visiting our grave, families, sit down and spending time with them, and, remembering all the things that they have passed on, telling us, how we tackle life, on the Torres Strait. So, it's very sad to know that you don't have your ancestors anymore on the grave. So somehow we have to walk around the island and collecting all the bones, and we don't know which is which, but we collecting everything and, bring it back to the cemetery and, bury them back that way they belong. So they're representing us. That's our home. We will never leave that place, even if it came to a point that one day we will probably holding to a one coconut tree. I don't know. But this thing is happening. So we're experiencing, climate change, effect of climate change on the islands. It's a very, very much in reality that it happens. So if I could say this, campaigning about climate change is very important, and we need to do something now. Dealing with climate change, it is a now issue. It's not, why don't we wait for 10 years or after 20 years? No, it's now, because we experience it, we live with it, we see these things, we live with these things, and we have been broken down in an area that makes us an indigenous people living in the Torres Strait. So it's really affecting everyone. So that's why we are here. We want to say, we want to, ask for the support of, in any way or form, from the government, that can support us, what's happening around the island. Even there are times that I've seen in YouTube's, our family from Pacific Island, they're putting out to the sea. Once there was a land, once there were houses. It's something that is real. I mean, I wish we could live down in Australia, because, you have to travel so many hours out to the, to the seaside to go fishing and all this, that. But especially living in a remote island, there's something you see it all around you. So, if any way or form that everyone who's listening, please stand with us, talk, what we are saying, because the effect of climate change is a real thing that we're experiencing almost, if I would say, in every season, or rather in every day. Please support us. Support us, whatever you can say, please support us campaigning about climate change. Hopefully that our government will take that into hand, and I thank God, if I would say that way, that I do hear that the message of climate change finally get into the ears, and they start saying things. So once again, I want to give a good God bless for our government, but there is more yet that need to be happen. Thank you, Lisa.
So Uncle Ted, for sharing your words and your frontline stories back home. That's just like Uncle Ted shared, climate change is a now thing happening, and it has been happening for decades. In the Torres Strait, it's not a future issue. It's affecting our families, our homes, and our ancestors right now, which is why we need to see real climate action rapidly. So I'd now like to invite my big brother Stanley to come up and also share some stories as well from our island home, Buiku. So.
Yes, Melissa. Waniki, so wagel muraza kulaiza titupagan alpun kayaugat. Titupagan brother of Kuikuma Baigal, where we standing here this morning. Titupagan Kuikuma Baigal ko brother. Kabubata and good morning everyone. Esopo, give me this opportunity. My name is Stanley Marama. I'm from Boigo, that's far north. My island is Mangrove Island. See, I'm here because of climate change. This one impacting our island. Not only island, that's also impacting our lifestyle, culture, tradition, and reef. And climate change is not next year, it will happen. It's now a thing. So people are putting this message across to government to help us, First Nation people throughout the region and also mainland. And also for support, those who support Torres Strait 8. And also for this time, hopefully we get this message across to government. That's all.
So Bala, I'd now like to invite Bala Kebe to come up and share some words as well.
So Waniki, Wakapu Bailud. Good morning. I'm Nel Kebe Tamo. My name is Kebe. I'm from Waraba Island, Kulkalgal Nation. I'm in the central part of the Torres Strait. Wakolekid, my Minakema Pasin. I want to pay my acknowledgement and respects to the people of the land that we stand here today and share our stories. I want to pay respect to the elders, past, present, and emerging. And I want to thank everyone this morning for coming down and showing this support here this morning. I think it's very overwhelming and humbling for us to get support from our First Nation people here, down here, and also our non-Indigenous brothers and sisters, and all of your organizations. I think on behalf of the Torres Strait people in the region, I want to thank you guys for your support, your continued support, those who stood in solidarity with us over the years through the campaigning of our legal case, our battle against the Australian government, and those who will continue to stand with us. I think it's really important that we always stand together to address and fight climate change, the impact that we suffer from up there. As you heard the very emotional but powerful stories here by our speakers this morning. As a young person, young leader in the Torres Strait, it's been a very humbling experience for me to be a part of such a great team. When I saw our Ned there from GBK chair, and the board, the Torres Strait Sea and Land Council, who've endorsed our case and have supported us from the start to fight this fight on behalf of our people in the region and First Nations people all over the country and the world. That's all for 250 to sit there. Lisa, Lucy, and the team, have supported us with the campaigning. It's been amazing. It's been the outcome of the case, getting the result go our way. Yeah, I couldn't explain the feeling when I heard the news. I think every one of us shed a tear. About the importance of getting such a result, the hard work that have been done behind the scenes over the years to get the result that we wanted. But I think that's only the first step. It's a foundation that is set now, and really want to take advantage of that and really get real result now for the region in the Torres Strait. The seawall here, standing behind this seawall replica here that everyone has built this morning, reminded me of when we were little, growing up on Waraba. Tedia was the chairperson of the local island council at the time, and when the seawall was being built, myself, I got my brother here who lives in Canberra now. We were little boys, 7, 8, 9-year-olds, helping our uncles build the seawall, shoveling the sand into the cement mixer, and to go from there to this level now, being able to take the fight and the stories of my people to this level, to international law, and to get such a result. Yeah, it's been very humbling experience, and I'm so grateful to be a part of this journey. It doesn't end here. Obviously, climate change doesn't end overnight, but I think it takes actions like this. It takes people like this that stands up and fight for what's right, and things that needs to be done urgently. Like you heard here before, it's not something that we should wait for another 10 years or even 5 years. It's urgent, and it's impacting us up there in so many different ways. We have erosions of our land in the Torres Islands, in the central part. Then you have the top western islands that suffer from inundation because of the low-lying mangrove islands of Buigu and Saibai. You got those sort of impacts. Then you have the impacts with the coral bleaching that affects our reefs, our sea life. Something that is very important to us, our natural resources that we rely on a daily basis, for traditional purposes, and also, the fishing industry up there that we that helps us commercially as well. Our fishing industry contributes a lot to the economy of this country. So there's heaps of impacts that happen up there. Although we contribute the least, but we are impacted the most. Small island communities up there. But we've come from a long line of fighters, a long line of warriors, that stood up for our people, our homes, and protected our homes for thousands of years. So this is just a continuation of fight of the spirit that lives within us from our ancestors, and I'm very, very grateful once again to be a part of such a powerful movement, and to help support, lead this case and this campaign. But once again, just want to say thanks to everyone who's shown support over the years. And I think from now on, moving forward, with with the result that we got from the case, I'm really looking forward to getting some real outcomes that will benefit not only us in the Torres Strait, but everyone. Basically, we're talking about the survival of humanity. So once again, thank you very much, and I'm looking forward to continue to work with everyone. Whatever way you guys can support us, we welcome that. Wow, mina bigaso.
Esobala Kebe. We come from small islands, but we make big waves. I would now like to invite Sissy Jacinta, who's here in solidarity, representing the Pacific Climate Warriors as well, to come up and say a few words.
Hi everyone. My name is Jacinta Famal. I'm Samoan. I'm here to represent the Pacific Climate Warriors and 350 Pacific. So really honored to be a part of this historic moment with our Torres Strait community and the Our Islands, Our Home campaign. I'm not sure what else I could add. There's been so many great stories. The impacts of climate change are the same across the Pacific. Our communities have already had to relocate. But I think like one of the coolest things about these stories, it shows our resilience as a people across the Pacific, that our understanding for life and nature is we respect it so much. It's so deep that it's like deeper than our rage from having it taken away from us. And I think that's a really important message today. There's a lot of things to be disheartened by, but I'm so inspired and feeling very hopeful that we will see more action from our government. It's not enough and it's too slow, but it's actions like this that will make a big impact. And I know the attention that we'll get because COP27 has started. A lot of protests and actions can't take place where they are at in Egypt at the moment. And so this was our way of connecting a lot of the work that's being taken into negotiation spaces. I know some of the Torres Strait community are in Egypt at COP27 as we speak. I just hope that the stories we share in here today echo a lot of the demands that are being spread from a lot of our Pacific communities here and around the world. That's it. Thank you.
SOJ, like she shared, our stories are very similar across the seas, and that's why the win is huge for Indigenous people across the world. It also supports Vanuatu has a case going at the moment, and so while we hope that it may help them along the way, and we stand in solidarity with our siblings in the Pacific and across the world. To wrap us up, I'd like to pass the Awadani to share some final words. So.
Thank you, Moniki. I also want to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land that we stand on today, elders both past, present, and emerging, and also our future leaders, spiritual leaders, and community leaders. I also want to acknowledge our Zenatkes families that lives in Canberra, elders and also young leaders as well. Acknowledgement to ancestors, elders of the Torres Strait. We not only representing our island, we represent Mora Zenatkes Torres Strait Islanders, wherever they are, in the region or on the mainland. Um, yeah, it has been a long journey, um, and we not only class as seafaring people, we God-fearing people as well. So we put God first, and we believe that it was God's timing that gave us favor, for this case, because He created the world, and He created the land and sea that we live, and He also, created us as well, human beings. So taking this with this case that we've started, like our rights as a human being, we have the right to live where we live. We have the right to culture, to our traditions. We as human being, have the right to voice out as well, and that's what we've been doing for the last couple of years, campaigning. September 23rd, 2022 will not be like the same again, like when we heard the great news that we won the case. Yeah, with a lot of emotions. Yeah, made international history. But this is for not only the survival of our island, but the survival of our culture and traditions that was passed down for so many years, over 60,000 years. And also, this is for the future generation. We want them to share their knowledge and their culture on their homeland. And that's why we've voiced out our future leaders. On that, I just want to acknowledge some young participants from the Foundation of FYA, Foundation of Youth Australia, Young Australians. We have some Torres Strait representative here with us. Acknowledgement to them and their ancestors, because this fight is for our future, and we will not leave our island home. This is a narrative that we've carried from our forefathers. We will live on our island home. We will die on our island home. We will be buried on our island home. No one will move us from there. Not even not the government. Not even climate change. And that's why we won't stop. Climate change won't stop, so we won't stop as well. We as islanders, Torres Strait Islanders, we've seen the impacts. We've heard the stories that was told for so many generations, and to see it for ourselves, that land mass is taken out. We can't do crops anymore on our island because of the heat of the sun, and also, yes, Uncle Ted mentioned about we seasonal people, we are scientists, and that knowledge has been passed on for so many generations as well, and we will continue to pass the message on to the next generation, and also we as the Torres Strait Eight, as stand as a role model for future leaders to carry the baton and run on with the stories and run on with the message wherever they go, to international and to our government as well. So I just want to say a big SO for everyone for your contribution, whether you signed the petition, and also for your support here this morning. big so for your for God's blessing that is upon us this morning here, and we looking forward to work with you all. Getting the message across. But biggest so on behalf of not only on behalf of us here, but all of Zenat people throughout the world, and also First Nation and Pacific Island brothers and sisters as well. So biggest so, God bless.
So I would then thank you everyone for being here this morning. Thank you to all the Torres Strait Islanders claimants who have shared their stories. So just the mic there, I think, is giving feedback. Yep. Perfect. So, again, big SO to everyone for joining us this morning. Thank you to the Torres Strait Islanders claimants who've shared their really deep frontline stories with us this morning. They are soon to head into the Parliament House to meet with a few politicians to continue sharing stories and demanding support, negotiating support with Templar. And also, as we also mentioned, Yasser Mosby, one of the Torres Strait Islanders claimants, is currently in Egypt for COP27 with his son, and also one of our community organisers, Tishiko King. So, this morning we are here to bring a seawall to the home of the government, like it is in the front of our homes in Zenat, to bring a strong story that oceans are rising, but so are we. We are also going to deliver a petition of 48,000 signatures. And so we would like to extend a big SO to all of those that have continued support of the campaign over the past few years. We are so grateful, and big SO for everyone for being here this morning. Just to wrap it off, just do some chants. So all together we'll speak oceans are rising, so are we. Wow, I'll do a practice. Yeah. Okay. Alright. Oceans are, like we'll all say it all together, okay. Yeah. Oceans are rising, so are we. 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 So everyone gather in and we'll just get a few group photos to finish in the day. If any of our Pamela that are here at the front want to jump in as well, please come up. Big SO. If some of the children want to hop at the front.
To work with you all, getting the message across. But biggest so on behalf of not only on behalf of us here, but all of Zenat people throughout the world, and also First Nation and Pacific Island brothers and sisters as well. So biggest so, God bless.
So I would then Thank you everyone for being here this morning. Thank you to all the Torres Strait claimants who have shared their stories. So just the mic there, I think, is giving feedback. Yep. Perfect. So, well, again, big esso to everyone for joining us this morning. Thank you to the Torres Strait claimants who have shared their really deep frontline stories with us this morning. They are soon to head into the Parliament House to meet with a few politicians to continue sharing stories and demanding support, negotiating support with Templar. And also, as we also mentioned, Yasser Mosby, one of the Torres Strait claimants, is currently in Egypt for COP27 with his son, and also one of our community organisers, Tishiko King. So, wow, this morning we are here to bring a seawall to the home of the government, like it is in the front of our homes in Zanath Kes, to bring a strong story that oceans are rising, but so are we. We are also going to deliver a petition of 48,000 signatures. And so we would like to extend a big SO to all of those that have continued support of the campaign over the past few years. We are so grateful, and yeah, big SO for everyone for being here this morning. Just to wrap it off, just do some chants. So all together we'll speak oceans are rising, so are we. Wow. Wow, I'll do a practice. Yeah. Okay. Oceans are, oh, like we'll all say it all together, okay. Yeah. Oceans are rising, so are we. 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 So everyone gather in and we'll just get a few group photos to finish in the day.